Free camp basically was an invention of necessity. You know, a pastor sitting around and he's taking inventory of what we're doing, who we're ministering to, and pretty soon we discovered that we were raising thousands and thousands of dollars to send our house children, our young families' children to quality camps, and then we turned around and had to kind of apologize for the lack of effort that was being put into our bus ministry and some of the other kids we were ministering to from the neighborhoods and from the communities. And so we really took an inventory of what we had and who we were. And pastor stands up there one Sunday morning about 25 years ago and he says, you know what, we're going to do a free camp and it ain't going to cost these kids anything. And everybody's like, okay, but nobody had ever done one. So from there we were tasked with the creation of a free camp. We went to the sponsors in the community. We went to anybody and everybody who would listen. We went to camps. We tried to make the best deal possible. We bartered with camps. We, as blue collar construction, lots of people like that with that skill set in our church. And we used that as a bartering tool. In the beginning, we would actually go in and remodel, install lights, do whatever they needed on their campgrounds. And then, you know, that was where it began, is just taking an inventory of what we could do, who we were, and we would try to place it on a holiday weekend or around a weekend or a strategic time where people could attend. A lot of people could be there, and so we had high participation of volunteers. So we were able to absorb large numbers of kids. So we would take a few kids from the neighborhood and a few kids from the church and a few kids we were trying to minister to and just mix them all together, provide a quality atmosphere for them using nature as the backdrop. You know, it's a wonderful metaphor. You can do so many things with archery and canoeing and fishing and riflery and hiking. All those things can be woven in and out of biblical principles. And the people teaching the lessons, you know, we would try to divide the tasks of free camp up to where individual people weren't overtasked. They had their role in it, and then they could come in and perform at a very high level at that role, and then the next person would take them, and the next person. So we developed layers of leadership, including our teens began their leadership journey for the camp. You had your camper age, which was 8 to 12, and you had your day campers, but you had the teens above that, and they were all in part of leadership. So we had to figure out a way to make this camp move from location to location. So that's what I think Pastor tasked me with. And the irony of that was I'd never been to a Christian camp in my life. I was a very late bloomer, and when he said camp, all I could think of was boot camp. Oh, wow, you know. So here we go. So we developed this camp where we broke them into teams, and we gave the teams some personality, tried to encourage them to develop a radical cadence so that everywhere they went, they marched, they talked, the camaraderie, the relationship was building. And that's how we got it started. They moved from one location to the next as a team, and they ate as a team, and they studied their devotions as a team, and they said as a team. And we kept the rules simple, you know, we really did. We always had just 5 basic things we try to deal with. It's 4 rules, deal with boundaries and respects, and it's one attitude. We kept it simple for them. They could always be corrected at a moment's notice. It was easy to keep them in boundaries if they didn't have a ton of rules to remember. That also complemented the fact that when we came to free camp, thus its name, we tried to set people free. We tried to look at what was happening in their culture that causes so many of our societal divisions. So we tried to remove as many stumbling blocks. We told parents, if your children have a $200 pair of sneakers, they're not even allowed to bring them to camp. Don't bring that stuff to camp. Go to Walmart and buy a $10 pair of sneakers, and let's all get down to some basics here. Pretty soon you had children that had nothing mingling with children that had a lot, and they realized that they were both basically personalities, and that they both basically could get to know each other, and they built and created long-term relationships. We've had inner city camps where we didn't have access to campgrounds, and so we just come and bombarded the church. We slept in the church, we ate at the church, we used the whole campus, every part of it, pitch a tent, whatever your grounds will permit, and then we would just literally bus them out every day to the various activities. We would take them wherever it was we needed to go, and then it works best in a campground environment, but it's not a 100% necessity. Free camp can be done as long as you have some people willing to take and give some time to some young people and help them to discover a destiny that may be different than the one that they're on. And that's the key thing. We keep carrying that from year to year, forward all the way. Destinies, helping children discover their destiny. They do not have to be trapped into a cultural poverty mentality. They can build their confidence up, who they are in Christ. We have lots of different things we do intentionally inside the camp that builds character, it builds confidence, it builds relationship. We have the ACE Awards, we have the white sheets, we have devotion, we have every evening service, we have the worship, and all the kids are involved in that. And we try to pull all those young people forward into the leadership pool. We have people now that actually started in day camp as day campers. They had to go home at night. They were so young. You know, their parents were working in the camp, and so they were there. And they've come up through the whole process, and now they're table teachers, or they're team leaders, or they're instructors. They're working in the kitchen. I mean, they just come all the way through the process from a day camper all the way now to an adult worker. The evangelistic side of free camp is amazing, because the limit is only in what you can think on how to tie it back. You can actually use the community in so many different ways. By and large, everything we need to become a dynamic church is located in our communities, but we have to go out there and get it. It's probably not going to just come to us. But if we go out there and show them what we're about, show them our intentionalness, show them we care about their kids, helping them raise their kids, that's a big thing. When you're doing it in your local community and you've been doing it a while, you've been there a while, you begin to be a trusted factor there, and people will trust you with those kids, and they'll give them to you, and they know that, you know, they bring their kids to us on a Thursday or a Friday, and by Monday when we return them home, they're exhausted. I mean, we wear them out, and but they also take back home to their homes a little bit of different. So now, if you'll follow up on that spark, there's a little spark in that house, there's an ember in that home, and sometimes you can fan that ember into a flame, and you can pull the whole family into the process. So evangelism in free camp are just a hand in a glove. It just depends on which direction you want to go, how it works for you and your community. Are you following up with the parents? Are you following up with the kids? I think the follow-up is crucial. In the evangelism, raising funds, we use a t-shirt concept to sponsor our free camp. We sell ads on the back of the t-shirt, and then everybody who comes to camp gets a free camp shirt. That's evangelism, because when you go out there and explaining it to businessmen and other community partners and such and so forth, here's what we're doing, and this is what we're doing for these young kids, and now they're seeing that you're a part of the active community. You're trying to make a difference in that community. You're trying to solve some of the problems in that community. So you've actually had evangelism reaching into the business side of that thing as well. Go into the marketplace, look for that 11th hour worker. They're out there. Just don't put them in charge of, you know, the very tender, but man, we've took people and put them in the kitchen and just let them peel potatoes, you know, let them feel a part of this thing. We've got people that we just let them carry water jugs, you know, we just surround them with other people that we have a high confidence level in, and so we're not afraid to take a few chances in the community too. And this project works best in churches where they're not afraid to go into the community. If you're happy inside your four walls, then a free camp really isn't what you're after. You need a different vehicle. But if you know that you need to be out there in that community, free camp is the perfect vehicle, because I've never been in a community that didn't have children. I've always seen children in communities, and always seen young families in communities. And when you start providing activity of quality and stuff that's building character in those young children, you'll find these families will allow you to take their children and have some time with them. And that's what makes it an excellent tool for evangelism in the community.